guys, it's Clara, and I am here to bring you my August wrap-up and my September TBR. So, before I get started, I have a very exciting announcement for you guys, and that is that I am starting a book club. So, basically this means that throughout each month I will pick a book, and you guys can read it along with me, and at the end of the month, I will do a live discussion of the book. So, for this month, that book is Odd Magic by Patricia A. McKillop. This was suggested to me by one of my dad's co-workers, and I am very excited about reading it. It is a fantasy, and all I really know about it is that it is about a gardener with magical powers who goes to work at a school. And it sounds very interesting and very mysterious, and it's fantasy, so it'll be great. Okay. My wrap-up. Let's see. The first book I read, I actually started in July and finished at the beginning of August, and that was Crest by Marissa Meyer, which is the third book in the Lunar Chronicles series, and it is a retelling of Rapunzel. It was very good. I loved it. But, like I said, it's third book in a series, so if you have not read the first two books in the series, you should not read Crest, because it will make no sense. Alright, but Crest was great. And the second book was The Huntress of Thornbeck Forest by Melanie Dickerson. It was a Christian medieval romance. That's what I like about Melanie Dickerson. All her books are romances, and they're medieval romances, and they're all clean, and that is great. So, I liked it, but it was definitely not my favorite Melanie Dickerson. Of the three of hers that I've read, it's my least favorite, but it was still good and worth a read. So, after that, I read Winter by Marissa Meyer, which I bought, and I am very glad to have, because I have so many favorite parts in this book, and I think I would be very sad if I couldn't go back and read my favorite parts over and over and over again, because this book is so good, and the romance in it is done beautifully. But it is the conclusion to a series, and you have to read the rest of them before you read this one, or this will not make sense. So, it's very good though. Very good. I love it so much. Okay, I did a vlog series while I read that, and you can go watch that if you've read the book. If you have not, I highly suggest you do not watch that, because after you watch that, there will be no reason for you to read that book, because I say everything that happens. Okay, the next book I read was Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. This is a classic romance, and I had to tell you guys that I would read it to make myself read it, because if I didn't tell you guys, I wouldn't have read it. So, it was good. It was very good. It was sort of like, Jane Austen wrote this book sort of as a mockery of the popular Gothic novels that were around at the time when this book was written, and it was very good and enjoyable, and I liked it. There's something light and happy about Jane Austen's novels, and it's a nice break from everything else that you read that may have a dark theme to it or something. So, if you ever come off of a dark novel, pick up a Jane Austen, because it just makes you happy, and especially Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice. Oh, I love that book so much. Okay. I realized after Northanger Abbey that I had totally not given myself enough books to read in August, because I was taking 2 weeks off from school, so I didn't have anything. So, I picked up The Fairy Path at my library. This is a book, it's the first in the series, about a girl that finds out she is the daughter of King Oberon and Queen Titania of the fairies. And it's very interesting, but it is not good enough for me to finish the series. Now, you may love it, and if you love it, good for you, but I didn't like it very much. Not enough for me to read the rest of the books in the series. But if you like fairies, you should totally check this out, because I have a feeling you'll love it. Okay. After that, it was Stars Above, also by Marissa Meyer. This is a Lunar Chronicles short story collection. It was so good. And the last story in it was like an aftermath of the Lunar Chronicles, and it was beautiful, and I almost cried because of its beauty. I would have cried, actually, but I was on my way to work and was trying to make sure that I didn't have running mascara, so other than that, this book was so good. It was so good, but you have to read the Lunar Chronicles before you read this, because a lot of it is backstory to the major characters in the Lunar Chronicles, and if you haven't read that, it won't make much sense. Okay, speaking of Marissa Meyer, in November she has a book coming out that is called Heartless, and it is a prequel to Alice in Wonderland, and I am so excited about that book. Okay. Also, after Stars Above, I read The Ruins of Gorlan by John Flanagan. This is the first book in the Ranger's Apprentice series, which I have wanted to read for like a year or two and have finally started, and I'm so happy because it was so good. The only thing I didn't like about this book was the romance. The romance was not done very well in this book, I didn't think, but it's a bit of a boy book, so you don't need to dwell too much on romance if you're writing for guys, because, you know, most of them think that's gross. At least most of the boys that would read this book, because this is for younger boys, like my brother's age. But it was still fantastic, and I loved it. It was mysterious. So basically, it's about a guy named Will who wants to be a warrior, but the thing is, he is not big and buff enough to be a warrior. He's very small and tiny, and he has chosen to be a ranger instead, because the rangers are good at sneaking around and not being seen and that sort of thing, and Will has all those talents. So he is taken to be a ranger's apprentice and finds himself fighting evil. It's very good, and I cannot wait to continue the story. Actually, I can wait because I'm probably not going to be reading any more of the books this month because I have other stuff to do. Okay. After that, it was The Swiss Family Robinson by Johann Weiss, I think is how you say that. I really don't know. But I had to read this for school. I have to read this for an honors class, and I have to write an approach paper on it. I hated this book, honestly. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. Well, one of the dumbest things ever. I've read books more dumb than this, but it was very weird. I didn't like it at all. It was a stranded on an island story, and the kids were excited about being stranded on an island. Seriously, it made no sense. Okay, so that is it for my wrap-up for August. So my September TBR list begins with finishing The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. It is an adventure story. It's, okay, I just gotta read this to you because I love this summary so much in here. It is a swashbuckling epic of chivalry, honor, and daring do. It is set in France during the 1620s and richly populated with romantic heroes, unattainable heroines, kings, queens, cavaliers, and criminals in a world of adventure, espionage, conspiracy, murder, vengeance, love, scandal, and suspense. I'm loving it. It's taking me a very long time, but at the same time, I am loving it so much, and I am so excited. So I'm reading this book for 3 reasons. 1, because I have to for honors. 2, because I want to. And 3, because Orlando Bloom is in the movie. And I want to see the movie. But to see the movie, I have to read the book. So, I am a huge fan of Orlando Bloom. Like, I have a poster of him on my door. As Will Turner in Pirates of the Caribbean, which is my favorite movie ever. The first one only. Okay. Yeah, that's enough about Orlando Bloom. After I finish The Three Musketeers, I'm going to be rereading The Hobbit. I read this when I was 8 years old. And I am so excited about reading it again because I love this book so much. This is the one book that has actually, like, completely immersed me. Like, my mom had to yell at me to get me to come out of this book once. Seriously. But it's so good, honestly. Oh, don't judge this book by its movies if you haven't read it. They totally butchered the book in the movies. They could have made this book 1 movie, but they had to make it 3 and add a bunch of stuff that wasn't in the book. But I was very happy that they put Legolas in it because Legolas was my first crush. Side note. Also Orlando Bloom. Okay. After that, I'm going to try to, at the very least, read the first Lord of the Rings book. This is a ginormous monster that's very floppy and feels very nice. And it's got all 3 of the books in here. My brother is reading the second one right now, but I'm going to try to read, at the very least, the first one in this trilogy this month. I don't know if I will get to the other 2, because I've got to read the book club too, and I am starting school. So, the last book is Illusionarium by Heather Dixon. Heather Dixon is my favorite author in the world because she wrote Entwined, which is my favorite book in the universe. And I was not thinking I would read this book because I had read on Heather Dixon's blog that this book is more for guys and it's not as romantic as Entwined. And, well, romance is my thing, guys, and so I was not thinking I would like this book too much, but then I picked it up at the library and read the summary that's in the inside, and I'm just like, oh, It sounds so good. So I'm very excited about reading this. And I am taking a road trip this week, so I shall have plenty of time. Hopefully, I will have finished The Three Musketeers by then, and I can bring this with me. Or The Hobbit, or something else. So that's it for this TBR and wrap-up. So I am making 2 videos for you this lovely Wednesday, and yeah, so stay tuned because I will have the BookTube newbie tag coming for you in just a few days. So peace out, guys. Love you. Bye.